We see, yeah, Ben's totally showing up. And a special guest, Capital Insiders will know this. Can we call you former lobbyist now?
Oh, let's make it real fancy. How about lobbyist emeritus?
Wow, lobbyist emeritus. And my dear old friend. I can't call you old, can I?
We're longtime friends.
Longtime friend, Scott Moen.
Friends.
Well, he's going to talk to us in just a bit about some of our guests, but I'll tell you who's on the show. We always grab the scripts. Here's the scripts. Energy. We picked this issue a little while ago because I thought, okay, what's going on with the war and the energy prices, and why not go tap the energy committee chair in the Senate, Senator Nick Frentz, and then the Republican lead, Andrew Matthews, will be on today. You know those two, right? Rural lawmakers?
Well, absolutely. And, number one, I never miss Almanac at the Capitol. It's always fun to watch, and I always enjoy it. And tonight, it's a special night, too, with Senator Pappas. How long has she served for?
42 years, which is, I think, the same amount of time Senator Ann Rest. That's where we started our retiree segments with Ann Rest. So Ann Rest and Sandy Pappas are legendary ladies of the legislature.
You could do an entire show with those two. You could do a 4-hour show with those two. The stories would be amazing. But I also appreciate tonight that you're focusing on the energy aspect, and not only gas and things like that, but with the amount of baseload power that our country is going to be needing for AI data centers, et cetera, et cetera. There is a lot going on in energy over the next year.
Yeah, you know a lot about that. You're actually doing some work on that. And I have to say, how many years ago did you give me a little tip that, boy, AI data centers, Mary, that's going to be a huge story. You told me this years and years ago, right?
On many different aspects. It'll affect all parts of our society. And you'll be on top of that, as always.
Yeah, because are we allowed to say where you are working?
Oh, we don't
why
have
you
to.
knew
No,
this?
I didn't bring it up because of that. I genuinely
Okay.
mean energy is a big deal. And the public will become more and more educated about our energy needs and how it affects consumers, how it affects businesses, and obviously currently with our gas prices, how is that going to affect our economy? And from the top on down. And so it's great having 3 legislators with experience that can speak knowledgeably about the issue.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to talk about that. And even put Minnesota in context of, we have these big renewable standards, right? Mm-hmm. And how we are doing in light of that. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight is not just oil and gas prices going through the roof, but how does that affect a state that has leaned all in on renewables? And if that's helping buffer us, kind of we'll stay tuned to see what our energy
Mary, that's a great question. It really is a great question. And you might want to let the guests know you're going to ask that beforehand.
No, I don't give my questions out, unless they're watching live or their staffers are not watching live. Maybe they'll know part of the angle that I'm looking for tonight.
I'm looking forward to it. Happy to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. And then Sandy Pappas, the long line of retiring lawmakers. Last week we had Paul Torkelson on. I know a lot of people enjoyed that interview. Scotty was just saying what we were saying last week, that I don't know anyone who dislikes Paul Torkelson, right?
Yeah, Paul is a legislative unicorn. He's an amazing man. The work he has done for this state, that the average citizen really doesn't know how much we owe a debt of gratitude to Paul Torkelson, and I'm thankful that he's served our state for as long as he has, Mary.
Yeah, and as a woman, I got to say what Sandy Pappas has done to be a leading, trailblazing barrier breaker. I wonder how many people in this building know that Sandy Pappas broke the pants barrier in the Minnesota Senate, that women had to wear dresses or skirts until Sandy Pappas and Ellen Anderson decided not to rewrite the rule or get votes to change the rule. They just, you do know this, don't you?
That they know it, but that would be another great story.
Busted the rule. Of course we got to ask about that, right? You know that story.
Okay, well, there's 3 senators, good reasons to watch, and then 2 questions that Mary is going to be asking that are worth tuning in and watching tonight.
Yeah, and also, bonding. So we talked about Torque being bonding chair.
Oh, yeah.
Sandy Pappas has been bonding chair, so that's been really...
How long is this show?
It's
You're going to need a lot
half
longer.
An hour, or I will let people in on a secret how long half an hour show is in public TV. If you're watching commercial TV, I think a half hour show is like what guys, like 16 minutes probably. In public television, when you watch a half hour show, we give you about 27 minutes of real content.
2640.
2640.
2640 and more Mary for your buck.
So
Support public television.
Wow.
That's me saying it, not her.
It is, and I don't. Maybe people don't know this, but Scott and Moen used to work for public television in a shared hometown for us. My mother is from Appleton, Minnesota. You grew up
Appleton, Minnesota, and when the PBS system was first formed, the idea was that every part of the country had to have coverage with an antenna back in the day. Turned out that little Appleton, Minnesota was right in an area where they needed coverage. And there were certain members of the community that got the station built there. So I was lucky enough when I was younger in farming to work at a TV station in a small town as well. And it was a wonderful experience.
That's so cool. It was beloved. My grandma and grandpa were in Appleton. My mom graduated, and our moms actually knew each other.
Absolutely.
Wait, how many were in their graduating class in little tiny Appleton, Minnesota? Do we know?
Oh, back then, even for me, which is a number of years ago, there was about 70. But, all of the small towns have combined and it's all smaller. Who knows? Back in the day when they were in school, there were probably a lot more kids. I'm sure there were a lot more.
So we go way back. And now that Appleton TV station is in Granite Falls, they moved to a bigger city.
Correct.
Still love that. It's actually run by Sherry Lamke, a former Twin Cities Public Television employee. So we love all of our greater Minnesota stations. Almanac at the Capitol airs there, as does legislative TV. So you can watch House, Senate, floor action, committee hearings, press conferences. This has been great. If you're not watching the Minnesota channel and you love the legislature, you're missing out, because the addition of all the press conferences, not only do you get to see all the sausage made, all those committee hearings, floor sessions, but you get to see all of those press conferences and those of us in the press corps kind of going toe to toe, diving deep, asking tons of questions all day long on the Minnesota channel. So you get to watch that during the day. And then you can come here Wednesday nights, 7 o'clock on the statewide Minnesota channel, and then 10 o'clock on channel 2 as we dive in. So again, tonight we are tackling energy issues with the war going on, gas and oil prices going up, and Minnesota really leaning in, being a leader in renewable energy. Bills signed into law from Governor Walz. But I'll tell you what, because we also do context, and I've been around forever, we're going to go all the way back to the renewable energy standard signed by Republican Governor Tim Pawlenty. That actually set the state on this pathway to renewable fuel. So we'll talk about how this didn't used to be a partisan issue, how it was a Republican governor several governors ago that set Minnesota on this pathway towards renewables, how he was really kind of an all the above on energy. So we'll talk to a Democrat and a Republican about energy issues, and then continue our series all year long on retiring lawmakers. We have one of the longest serving members of the legislature, legendary former Senate President Sandy Pappas, talking about her career here in the House and the Senate. Tune in, Almanac at the Capitol. Say goodbye, Scott. Bye. Bye, everybody. Tune in. Thanks for watching.